It's a grizzly.
Should we get out of here?
No. We're gonna watch and listen.
This is your emergency broadcast system announcing the commencement of the annual purge sanctioned by the U.S. government. Weapons of Class 4 and lower have been authorized for use during the purge. All other weapons are restricted. Government officials of ranking 10 have been granted immunity from the purge and shall not be harmed. Commencing at the siren, any and all crime, including murder, will be legal for 12 continuous hours. Police, fire, and emergency medical services will be unavailable until tomorrow morning at 7 a.m. when the purge concludes. Blessed be our new founding fathers and America, a nation reborn. May God be with you all.
Energy on the truck, boy.
This is not a test. This is your emergency broadcast system.
Well, hello everybody. Welcome to another edition of Grizzly Paranormal and True Crimes. Boy, Luna, Laura, everybody, Rosie.
Hey, I think we've had stormy weather and there's like lightning and thunder outside, and I think it's messing with the internet connection.
Probably. Missy. Hello, Missy. Hello, Kat. Hello, everybody. Joanne Jackson. Welcome, welcome. South and yes, Waxhaw. Hello, Paranormal team. Diane. Do we have a treat for you tonight, ladies and gentlemen? Yes. We have gone beyond the normal routine than what we usually have gone. Rosie has talked me into going where no man has gone before. So we are going a little bit deeper into other realms of true crimes. Yes.
Did you still want me to send you a link so you could put it up on here if you would like?
Oh, yeah, absolutely. Okay. So we got one case that has been submitted we're going to talk about, but she also has another case we're going to talk about is kind of like, wow. That's what I can say is wow. Which she briefed me about this case this afternoon, or was it this morning? I don't remember. It was one of those ones that was shock and awe. It was like, how did I miss this? Not even catching this on the news.
Yeah, it's pretty viral.
So we'll get into that one here. Joanne Jackson from New England. Well, hello. Glad that you got there. She's saying hello there, Rosie. How you doing?
Hi.
So shopping with a temperature. Ooh, sounds like fun, Missy Juju. I hate temperatures. So everybody, Laurel, hello. Don't forget to hit the love and like button for Grizzly. Absolutely. Make sure and follow us. You're all in for a really treat. So for the ones that do not know who she is, I will let her introduce herself because you probably don't remember who she is from our past interviews, but introduce yourself and let everybody know who you are now.
Also, I'm Rosie. I'm a paranormal investigator. Sorry, I was looking up and like scrolling through all the titles to find what I wanted. I sent you one article. It's a newspaper article, like a legit one. It's not fake news or anything like that. I live in Oklahoma. I paranormal investigate. I work in Arkansas also doing that stuff. Work in Arkansas and Oklahoma, kind of both back and forth in the last several years. I'm I'm a Cancer. And I like long walks on the beach.
Mm-hmm. And don't you have other things that people do not have?
Yes. I think that I've like narrowed it down to probably like I don't say, hey, I'm a psychic medium. I think that like there's different titles of different like things that you can do, or that things that you're strong in, or connections, you know, that you have to other dimensions or other realms or beyond the veil or whatever you want to call it. And I
There
think
we go, ladies and
yeah,
gentlemen.
I think it best probably like would be labeled what I do as being a seer or an empath, probably, or a mix of both of the two.
She's modest. Yes, ladies and gentlemen, she is. She is Grizzly approved. I can tell you that much. Yes, absolutely. But we have crossed paths many, many times in the past. And well, like I told her the other week, we have circled back once again, and lo and behold, and she is now the new co-host with myself, and she has some awesome cases. But we're going to talk about this one case first, and it is about Chance Englebert. Have you ever heard about him?
I did see that like this happened almost 4 years ago, and it has recently recirculated in the news. And I wonder if it was like usually family members or somebody has to come forward, or there has to be like a new hiring maybe of like a new detective or a new investigator on a force or police force or something like that. Usually when something that's been dormant for a while, or it hasn't been as active, or there hasn't, you know, been a lot of people coming forth asking and keeping on, you know, stomping around about this and making noise about it. Like usually when it comes back around, I feel like somebody, maybe there was a new development that happened recently.
Yeah, so it's very weird, ladies and gentlemen. When the audience sent it in with numerous cases, you know, that's how we usually do things. Now, the one that she has topples this one by the Babylon of Tower. That's how big this. Yes, it is very creepy. But it's either near or here. But we are going to start out with Chance Englebert, and I got a news clipping I will present, and this is the one that we're going to share with the panel of psychics to see what they come up with. But let's give you a little bit of background on this one. So here we go, ladies and gentlemen. And action. Here we go.
It is a case that appears tragic on the surface, but becomes complicated as you dig deeper. The disappearance of Chance Englebert has left the town of Gering, Nebraska frustrated. The father and husband vanished in July of 2019. More than 2 years later, after continued searches, there has been no sign of Chance. But concerns continue to grow that something bad may have happened. Tonight, you are going to see exclusive surveillance video of the last time that Chance was seen and hear from nearly everyone involved in this case. Here is investigative correspondent Rich McHugh.
25-year-old Chance Englebert was a cowboy at heart. Putting himself through college on a riding scholarship.
So pretty good to get that book on it. Yep. All right. Yep. First one from college. So let's talk about that.
In 2018, he married Bailey, and they had a baby boy. Thanks. The future.
He was looking forward to Moorcroft, Wyoming, where the couple lived. But then, tragedy.
During a 2019 4th of July trip to Bailey's hometown, Gering, Nebraska, Chance Englebert vanished.
So we have people searching, walking along the canal now.
According to Gering police, on July 6th, Chance was golfing with Bailey's family, and Chance got upset over comments how he'd be making less money at his new job. According to Bailey, Chance called and said he wanted to leave, wanted to go back home to Wyoming. She went up to her grandparents' house in Gering, and that, she said, made him more upset. He got out of the car and started walking away. He called his friend and best man, Matt Miller.
So Matt, you were the last person that Chance called, is that right?
Yeah.
What did he say?
Well, he said he got in a fight with his in-laws, and he was wanting to come back to Wyoming to his house here in Moorcroft and needed a ride immediately. That was 4 hours away. There's just no way I could make it.
When you spoke to him that night, did he sound intoxicated?
No, he sounded upset.
Matt spoke with Chance's mother, Dawn.
So after Matt called, we reached out a couple times, his aunt, his uncle, my husband, just kind of waited out.
But Chance did not answer. Surveillance footage obtained by News Nation shows Chance Englebert walking through Gehring around 7:50 p.m. that night. The video, Chance look at his phone and then take a 90-degree turn left, as if following a map.
That last snippet of video, what do you see?
I see a kid that had a mission and he knew he wanted out of town.
An hour later, a powerful storm passed through Gehring with lightning and high winds. Around that time, at 9:08 that night, a text sent from Chance's phone to his aunt with an expressionless or annoyed face emoji and a confusing mix of letters. Then, according to the local sheriff, Chance's phone went dark.
Nothing on his phone after 9:08, nothing.
The next morning, Bailey filed a missing persons report. Family and friends mobilized immediately on foot, using drones, scouring the treacherous landscape.
You know, Bailey and Banks. We just ask anybody to send any information.
2 years later, still no answers.
I see the video of him walking down the street on the surveillance cameras, and I replay that every day, thinking I'm going to figure out where and why. But nothing's coming yet.
So this is still an active investigation.
It is, very much so.
Brian Eads is the lead investigator on the case for Gehring Police.
Do you think that we're dealing with a homicide or simply somebody who might have had a tragic accident?
You know, we always try to treat things as a homicide until they're proved otherwise. At this point, there's no evidence to show that it is a homicide, but there really isn't many evidence to show that it's not either.
Investigator Eads says they've enlisted outside agencies, K-9 teams. They have conducted search warrants, polygraph tests, and still chased down leads.
Early on, the theory was that Chance fell into the river. Is that still one of the theories?
It's still one of the theories. His last known proximity was in close proximity to the river.
This is Martha Road, so we know that Chance turned here. He would have walked down this way.
Amanda Waldron is a volunteer investigator with We Help the Missing, a nonprofit team of private investigators dedicated to locating missing persons. We're at Terry Lake, near where that camera caught the final images of Chance.
So in addition to the river, this is one of the other kind of bodies of water that they say is a strong possibility.
Yes, we know that Chance walked down the road right here in front of this body of water. There was a storm that night. It was raining. The weather was bad. So that has kind of led to believe that water could have been involved.
The reason I put lead gen on a license plated Lamborghini is because it's the fastest way that I found to six figures
This is
a
what's
month.
strange, ladies and gentlemen, is that during this
Goatee man.
when this took place,
Brother or his friend?
yeah. So when this took place,
Oh, you.
the family allegedly, now this is for entertainment purposes only. Not everybody's proven innocent until proven guilty in a court of law. So we have to throw that out there for everybody to make sure. So that has been said and spoken. But what was weird is that his friend was called, right? Come get me, come home. You know, they had a fight on the golf course with the in-laws. The in-laws will not say what happened on the golf course. They will not discuss what was said. Now, his wife at the time will not even say what happened on the golf course when he said, screw this, pull over, I'm getting out, you know, let's go home. Well, she said, I'm going inside packing the bags. He said, screw it, I'm walking. Now, what in the world's going on? Now, we don't have no idea. Now, everything is speculation at this point. Now, however this lays out, now this is what troubles me, okay, Rosie. Now, check this out. 2 days after this happens, she goes to the authorities. I need a death certificate, please. What in the hell?
Is she the one that asked for that?
Yes. She wanted a death
Why did
certificate.
she want a death certificate? Was it for money?
I don't know.
It had to be for money.
But that does not make any sense to me, ladies and gentlemen. Now, there's a
Not
lot
unless
of
she
things.
was messed up. Like, was she inebriated in some kind of way?
No. Now, the reason why his friend did not pick him up because they were partying and he was under the influence of maybe some alcohol, maybe some other things that he probably shouldn't have been under, but we do not know that. But he said he was partying.
Which one?
Now, does
He's
he,
partying.
the one that he got called and said, come get me?
The one that he
was
called
4
was
hours
partying?
away. Yes.
Okay, so he didn't need to drive 4 hours away.
You're right. Remember, that's why that is correct. So, Laurel, yes, I do got bad vibes too. So something does not add up. So, and the reason why you never heard of him, because it's been resurfaced again, because something is going on, and all of a sudden the ex-wife or the wife or whatever you want to call it, or he, she, it, or what, I don't know. I'm tired of these damn pronouns, ladies and gentlemen. Let's get over it. But now I want to play you another video. It goes just a little bit deeper. So stand by as
Does it have to do with the does it have to do with the prosecutor?
No, you got that one?
The female that came to her house and was recording, that just let herself in the house and she showed up unannounced, that was from another state?
No, I didn't see that one.
Did you not? Hang on.
Yeah, send that to me.
You go do what you're going to do and I'll show you what I'm talking about.
Well, you send me that and I'll keep talking because this is crazy, crazy witch. Joanne Jackson, yes. You wait till we get to the other case. The other case was like, ow! It made me want to go get in a car and do some horrible things to people that does horrible things to other things that does. I don't even want to talk about it right now. That's how bad it was. So, yes. But Chance Englebert, so 25 years old, he's a real cowboy. Now, you saying that his body got swept in the river. Let's say it did. Now, do you think after 17 agencies involved and everybody with drones and volunteers and everything, you don't think that somewhere that they wouldn't find a body or something of some sort somewhere down there? I don't know. Scroll down till you see the timeline events. All right, so hold on. She just sent me something. So let me pull this up here.
Thank you, crazy witch.
Okay, uncovered. Now, is this a video or is this a news article?
That is going to be the news article, but I'm assuming you didn't scroll the way down and read the information at the bottom where the timeline is, because it says something about
all right, I see the timeline now. July 6, 2019. Let me share this. Hold on. Let me present and share so everybody can see.
Because the timeline is the
most
important thing in any case. Like a timeline to me is the most important piece of evidence that you're going to have.
It is. And not only that, it also shows a map.
You can't build a case with that.
So, all right. See, I like the way she... All right, here we go. Action. There we go. It says, and let's stay up to date. Let's get rid of that. It says July 6, 2019, Chance and his wife visit her family in Nebraska. Chance and his wife, Bailey, traveled with their son from their home in Moorcroft, Wyoming, to visit Bailey's grandparents in Gering, Nebraska for the weekend. Chance spent most of the day golfing with his in-laws before returning to their home. Now we're talking about their grandparents here. Now, Chance Leslie is the victim, it says, and Bailey Englebert is the spouse of the victim. It explains that he for comment about his new job they made by one of her family members, and he said, "Hey, come pick me up and take me home." Because during this call, she agreed to home because he was a coal miner. He made good money. But they got laid off. Him and his best friend got laid off. That is a fact. They got laid off. So they found very quickly other jobs because they knew everybody in this coal mine were had to find a job, so they jumped track and they're like, we're going to find a job for everybody else does, so we're not stuck jobless. So they found a propane job, whatever. All right. So they got in a fight on the golf course. Now at 7:30 p.m., Chance and his wife had an argument, which we still do not know what this argument was on the golf course, besides probably money, allegedly. According to Lee, Chance's wife, the couple had an argument while in the car before Chance exits the car and walks away. Now, during this time, I saw that she stated during an interview that stay right here. I'm going to go pack the bags, honey, baby doll, and we'll go. I'll take you home. Well, while she went inside, he said, screw this. I'm out of here. Now, why in the world would he say screw this and just walk off? Now, I do not know because I wasn't there.
But there is video evidence supporting that.
It's upsets. Yeah. He does this before. He gets upset. If there wasn't video evidence,
if there wasn't video evidence, I would have
he's done this before. Allegedly, thank you. I always have to correct somebody else saying that, but allegedly, that is correct. Thank you. So this is not the first time allegedly he has done this. So she didn't think nothing of it. And that's what she said, and that's what their family members said, that this is normal. But he always comes back to allegedly. At 7:45 on July 6, 2019, Chance calls his friend Matt. Shortly after Chance walks away from Bailey's family's home, the grandparents allegedly is where we're thinking still. He calls his friend Matt Miller to ask him to come pick him up. Chance tells him that he needs a ride home, that he's going to start walking from Gering to Torrington. Now, that's where that map to the right is showing you, which is about 35 miles away. Matt is unable to pick him up at the time, so he begins calling friends to see if anyone can pick him up instead. Miller is the guy that Chance called to say, hey, come pick me up. Go ahead, speak up. You can cover me.
Oh, no, I was waving at somebody that said hello.
You waving at me?
No, someone said hello in the comments.
So Matt was like, I can't pick you up. So Matt was like, I'll call some people because I cannot come get you. So I will see what I can do to help you out, because Matt said that he was partying, but he couldn't make the drive. So that's what he did. So 11 calls. Did he or did he not? I have no idea. So at 7:46, Bailey speaks to Chance for the last time. During the conversation, Chance tells his wife, go ahead.
Oh, I said what Missy said.
Am I freezing?
Hear me? Yeah, you're freezing.
I can hear you.
I think you're freezing.
So did I miss something?
Missy Juju's comment.
Sleep raging. He's in Russia, still alive. All right, I'm way back. I'm catching up. Don't like good vibes. Hey, Carol Ann, how you doing there? Really weird. During the conversation, Chance tells his wife that he's walking south. We later learn that Chance is also in contact with his friends, who tells that he's walking north in a ditch towards Torrington, Wyoming. Chance is calling several friends and family members during this time and asks for a ride. He's asking people for a ride. However, he's not able to secure one due to his distance from his home in Wyoming. Plus, we know that this is a holiday weekend and people are partying. And when we say partying, we're not talking what you're thinking. We're talking people are having barbecues and having beers and whatnot and throwing horseshoes and probably playing cornhole and whatever else. So now we continue on. 7:49, the last confirmed physical sighting of Chance. A witness tells investigators that she sees Chance around 7:49 p.m. walking past Domino's Pizza restaurant on 10th Street in Gering. Hello, Lady Wolf. And he's walking north towards Scotts Bluff, Nebraska. Now, that's the last confirmed physical sighting of Chance. Now, at 7:51, hello, FDL Paranormal. Chance is captured on surveillance video walking by himself past a business in Gering, Nebraska. This will be the last time you will see him on surveillance video that night. Don't forget, it says that he is a victim. A victim of what? We don't know, ladies and gentlemen. That's the thing. What happened? At 9 p.m., a thunderstorm rolls through the area. That night, Chance's disappearance through the weather turns for the worse as a thunderstorm sweeps through the area. Bailey and her family assume that Chance has taken shelter in a nearby building during the storm. Now, what nearby building, I couldn't tell you. Now, there was a truck stop mentioned, which we're going to get to here in a minute. Bailey's grandfather drives around the area looking for him around this time. At 9:08, a strange text is sent from Chance's phone. The final text message sent from his phone is a random series of numbers and emojis, which we later allegedly find out that he never uses emojis on his cell phone. So I just want to throw that out there. Just FYI, just let you know. Now, does not ever use emojis very often. That's what it says. And she believes that the text may have been sent from someone other than himself. So later that night, they finally have a cell phone ping before his cell phone is turned off. Now, we didn't say, or the battery dies. They don't know which is which. It pings for last time for a cell phone tower near Riverview Golf Course, sometime between 9 p.m. and 10 p.m.
I have
This
a question.
tower, yes.
Is that the golf course he originally was at when the fight happened?
That is a good question.
Because that was
the
my
golf
main
course was never mentioned which one he was at during the fight.
Yeah.
Or the alleged argument
I'm gonna write
about
that down
whatever.
because that'll be something to like dig up. You know what I mean? Research.
That is correct. And that was the southeast of the tower. Now at 10 p.m., Chance is seen for the last time on another surveillance video. Shortly after, Chance is caught on surveillance video walking past two businesses located in Gering and an apartment complex in Tarrytown. Chance is seen for the last time in surveillance video near the intersection of Terry Boulevard and Stable Club Road in Tarrytown, Nebraska. That's surveillance camera number 2. July 7th, 2019. This is the morning. The searches begin. According to Police Chief George Hoffus, over 147 people participated in ground searches in the area that Chance was last seen, and 2,400 acres. Now, ladies and gentlemen, we have concluded in other series and episodes that in 1 acre, there's 43,560 square feet in 1 acre. So do the math on that. Of acres of land have been searched. Additionally, 18 different agencies, I stand corrected, I said 17, 18, I was wrong, have been involved in the search, including cadaver dogs and search helicopters. According to the chief of police, both Air Link and Nebraska State Police helicopters covered a combined 380 miles of air searches, and canines were used to search around 10 different local lakes and ponds. Good morning, Rick. How you doing? In order to search more thoroughly. Now, July 8th, 2019. Authorities searched North Platte River and railroads in the area. Because, you know, if you're mad, and you may hop upon a train and whatever. Who knows? All right. So they began to search that along the railroad property in the area where Chance was last seen 2 days earlier. Nothing. July 9th, 2019. Searches for Chance continued throughout July 9th, and investigators announced at the end of the day that the search will continue the following day. But during this announcement, officials also asked the public and business owners to turn in any surveillance footage that they may have from 7:30 p.m. to around 11 p.m. on that evening of July 6th. Now we're on July 10th. Chance's family makes a plea for information at a press conference. Now, the members of Chance's family, including his wife, Bailey, make a plea to the public to come forward with any information regarding Chance's disappearance. Now, we know by interviews with his own parents that there was marital problems between them both. Okay. Hello, Irene. And he told his mama, you stay out of my marriage. I will fix my own issues. And this is going to come into play here shortly. So according to Garing Police, on July 11th, Officer Sean West and multiple reported sightings of Chance reported in Casper, Wyoming, in the week following Chance's disappearance. These reports stated that someone resembling Chance was seen walking in attempt to hitchhike along I-25 in Casper. Now, local law enforcement officials who arrived on scene were unable to locate any hitchhikers along I-25. Now, if somebody was hitchhiking and everything, and they didn't find anybody, what do you think they were hitchhiking anymore? Probably not. I'm just saying allegedly if there was. I'm not saying he was or somebody was. I'm just saying there probably wasn't.
What was
But
the date you
July
were seen
12th.
in Casper, Wyoming? What was the date?
That was July 11th, which I think is poo-poo. But anyways, that's just Grizzly's opinion. July 12th. Officials released another image of Chance. Nearly a week after Chance was last seen, officials released a new photo showing the clothing that he was wearing on the night of his disappearance. Disappearance, not appearance, disappearance. I'm sorry for the audio people. Official describing the clothing he was last known to have been wearing was a short-sleeved Wrangler shirt, Wrangler jeans, roper boots, and a black and white trucker cap. Now, I think I read it was a button-up shirt, but I could be wrong.
Yeah, that's what I saw him in. Like when I started
Yeah.
reading his name and reading about him, I saw him in everything exactly what you described, except I saw a black cowboy hat.
Right. Now, I'll explain that. Wow, she didn't get everything. She just got a picture. So on July 12th at 6 p.m., there was another potential sighting of Chance. Allegedly, an individual in Casper, Wyoming, sent a tip to police explaining that she believes that she had seen Chance at a Walmart on the east side of Casper. Garing police officer Sean West visited the Walmart in Casper and reviews over 6 hours of surveillance video, but he's unable to confirm whether the sighting is credible. So was it him or was it not, or was it somebody that looked like him? They never did say.
It was him. He didn't want to be seen.
So, Now, July 2019, a reward is offered. A $10,000 reward is offered by official for information in Chance's case. November 27, 2019. Officials released new information regarding Chance's cell phone pings and usage in November 2019, according to officials. Cell phone data have been recovered, indicating that Chance's phone pinged for the last time with a tower near River Golf Course, and that his phone had been used for the last time shortly after 9 p.m. of that night of the disappearance. Now, ladies and gentlemen, what I have reviewed during looking into this case, that they went and they couldn't get a subpoena for the cell phone records, allegedly. But Mama was still on the account. So Mama was like, screw you all, I'm going to the phone company. And the phone company was like, hey,
God. Hallelujah for
guess
that.
what? That was probably an app in the background that was updating. That was probably wasn't him using the phone. So allegedly. All right. So we don't know if it was an app or him using the phone. So on July 6, 2020, 7 p.m., a walk and prayer vigil is held for Chance. Now, nowhere in this timeline have we heard a mention of a death certificate. This is what's weird. A year after Chance disappeared, friends and family of Chance, as well as several members of the community, take a walk and hold a prayer vigil for him. The walk begins at Domino's Pizza, where Chance has been seen for the last time by a witness in the night of his disappearance, and continues to the last area where he's been seen on a surveillance video. Their prayer vigil is held at Terry's Lake at the end of their walk. February 9th, 2020. Lindy DeSanto visit Bailey's home unannounced. Now, this is where Rosie was talking about.
Yep.
Yes. According to police report, South Dakota ex-Senator Lindy DeSanto visit Bailey's home in Moorcroft unannounced and records 3 videos of the visit. Bailey is very upset about the encounter and calls police to file a complaint against her. Now, why would you be upset if a senator, and now was that an ex-senator, why would you be upset? I wouldn't be upset. You trying to help me out. Something ain't right. That's mine. That's Grizzly's opinion. May 2020. A judge writes a temporary protection order against South Dakota ex-senator. Now, that's wild. In May 2020, a Crook County judge writes a temporary protection order for Bailey against South Dakota's ex-senator, Lindy DeSanto. The judge, it appears there exists a clear and present danger of future stalking or serious adverse consequences to Bailey. Now, ladies and gentlemen, I have no idea where this come from, because I did not uncover that during my investigation of looking at the totality of the circumstances of this case.
That's why you got me.
So there must be something. Yeah, that you dang right. That's why I got you. Crazy Witch, Missy Juju. Unbelievable. So that's interesting. October 18th, 2021. Humans were found in Scotts Bluff County. Yes, I did remember reading that. A local hunter finds partial remains on a property in Scotts Bluff County, Nebraska, near the Platte River on October 8th, 2021. Reports state the remains have been confirmed to be a human arm bone. Now, this is what is very interesting. It took them allegedly 2 years to get DNA samples results.
There's no way. There's no way.
That's what was reported.
Not in this day and time. There's no way that.
No, man. You know, even with the state police backed up, it took us not even 45 days most of the time. And most of the time, if we even rushed, it was less than that. Anyways, the Nebraska DNA lab is currently testing DNA taken for the bone marrow. That's why I said 2 years. Check out the date. So that's where we're at. Now, next video. Here we go. Now, this is going to open up a couple of things. Am I still sharing the screen? Yes, I am. All right, hold on here. Let me get rid of some of these. I don't know why I got all these ad poppers popping up. I told you mermaids existed.
Let your curls sing with Carol's Daughter Black Vanilla. Instantly restore.
All right, here we go, ladies and gentlemen. I guess I should hit play, right? There we go.
Moisture and shine for
And
touchably soft hair.
Hi, everyone. Welcome back to Crime Sunday, or welcome to Crime Sunday if you are new. My name is Megan, and every Sunday I post.
All right, we know who you are.
Today I'm going to be telling you the disappearance story of Chance Englebert. And his story is probably one December 1983. He actually came 3 days say that Don they raised their Edgemont, South Dakota, a very small town in 2021. It was reported reported that the population was just retired. Yeah.
I don't know if you're buffering or if it's me. They can actually process some stuff right on the scene.
He was a cowboy.
I can't hear what she's saying. It's like it's buffering.
Is it?
I can't hear her. It sounds like there's she's got a jar in her head.
Pause it.
Yeah.
All right. It's buffering, isn't it?
I guess it's not even moving at all. Her face
Let me
is
go
like
to video number 2
hearing
then.
a buzzing noise, like
Yeah,
I can
didn't.
still hear the
We'll
audio,
play.
but no visual. Yeah. They said it's cutting out. I can't hear it either.
Okay, let me play this other video. This other video. Okay. All right, we'll try this video, ladies and gentlemen, give you a little background.
What?
That's not working either. I think it's making you freeze
Catch it
up.
up.
You could put the link in the comments, like they could have the link in the comments and they could watch it.
His wife's infidelity, having.
Well, that works. Working it all. But
Please.
The one after 2 did go.
Yeah, the video was
What's
making
that,
you
hon?
like the video was making it where
Yeah,
you're
yeah.
freezing too. I think it's because of the video, the amount of
So
I don't know, whatever it has to play the. I did want to point one thing out though. I didn't notice this the first time.
Yeah.
When she came and
Sure.
picked him up from the golf course and he asked for her to take him home. She did not take him home. She took him to the grandparents' house, which is who he had been arguing with, right?
No. He was arguing with her parents at the golf course. They were staying with her grandparents. Yes. They were staying with her grandparents. That's where all of the clothes were. That's why they went to the grandparents was to get their clothes. Yes. Yes. So, yeah. Yeah. So, and that's where he said, screw it, I'm walking away. All right, here we go. Now, I think I've got this fixed. So let me try it this way. And let me hit this button. Let me hit this button. And let me hit this button. And one more time, ladies and gentlemen, in action. I know. This is awful. Oh my God. Make sure I hit the right screen this time, too.
Someone asked, did he have a hat on when he was last seen at the traffic light in the footage?
Yes, he had a trucker cap. White. I think it was a white ball cap. So, yes.
Building cars or driving in derbies.
And Chance loved living out in the country. From a young age, he really seemed to do well there. And he was always interested in becoming a bareback rodeo rider. As a 5th grader, he was actually too young to start as a barebacked horse rider, so he started riding bulls instead. He did this for about 3 years, and in 8th grade, he was finally old enough to move up to rodeo bareback riding.
Watching that bull go last night, he's just a sweetheart. I was really wanting to draw him. And then today he kind of came out there and he's a little trickier to ride. He kind of went out to the cross there, really wanting to sit me back. But I just cowboyed it out and made the whistle. So
feel pretty good to get that buckle already.
Yep.
All right.
Yep.
And
First one from college. So
let's talk about that. What's that like to finally have one in your hands?
Oh, it feels amazing. I've been struggling so much in bareback riding. I just started riding bulls again this year, and just to overcome what I've accomplished this year is just amazing. And I'm just proud of myself, proud of my team for helping me.
And Chance's love for the rodeo was fully supported by his parents. His mother, Dawn, was always there to support Chance with everything that he did related to rodeo.
When people ask me to explain Chance, that's when it gets hard. It's hard to explain something that's bigger than light. And he lit up a room since he was a little boy. As a baby, he was just beautiful and so good. And he was so smart. And he knew he wanted to be a cowboy. He was a great kid, a great brother. He would do anything for anybody. He believed in paying it forward. I was so blessed to get to spend so much time with all three of the boys. Chance was shy, could be a little awkward at times, but just a great all-around kid. I just wish he would have known how good he was, how talented he was. He kind of lacked in the confidence on that. But he was a very talented, hardworking young man.
And not only did he love rodeo, he was also really good at it. He was very successful in the years that he spent riding, and he actually got a full-time scholarship to Laramie County Community College. Chance was incredibly athletic and also a very fearless type of guy.
It's pretty wild, but that's kind of the way I grew up, is being a little wild on bareback horse, and that's why I love doing it, and so it's a lot of fun.
All right, the year so far is going pretty good, huh?
Yeah, so far, I don't know. I can always be a little better. I'm kind of traveling the middle of the pack, I guess, but this will help me out for the standings, and I think I'm sitting fourth now, so doing good.
But if there was anything that he loved more than rodeo, it was his family. He loved his family and would do anything for them. And in one of his interviews, he was asked, "What do you like to do when you're not competing?" And he said, "I love to be on the family ranch, helping my parents with everything from fencing to trucking with my dad. I have to be outdoors, and the city drives me crazy. So anything outdoors, I love." So eventually he went off to college at Laramie County Community, and he studied welding and diesel mechanics to pursue work similar to his father. His interest in welding actually led him to take up a new hobby, which was working on demolition derby cars, which I know absolutely nothing about this, but this was really important to Chance. And eventually he left the rodeo world and spent more and more of his time working on these cars with his family and some local friends. And that's how he actually met one of his closest friends, Matt Miller. The two of them worked a job site together where they actually both worked on mining, but they also did a lot outside of work together. They hung out all the time. They would go hunting, fishing, and all the people that were close with Chance say that he was one of the hardest working people that they knew. People said that he was the type of person that wouldn't complain about working. He was always willing to work sun up to sundown. And even when he ran out of work to do, he would find a useful way to use his time. He was a very active person, and he was also very positive. He didn't spend a lot of his time complaining, according to his friends and family.
Chance and I met in 2016 when he hired on at Bel Air Mine.
Fast forward a little bit here.
Now, Moorcroft is a small town.
I believe that God created you for a specific purpose. He's called you to do something on this earth.
They have a population of less than 1,000. Chance was really excited about this house. He was very proud of it, and he felt like this was the perfect place for him, Banks, and Bailey. Some of Chance's closest friends have said in interviews that Bailey and Chance's marriage came with a lot of highs and a lot of lows. Like, they loved each other strongly, but then those lows were really hard for them. Bailey, back in the Vanished podcast interview, said that their marriage was great, that they rarely fought. And she said if they did fight, it could normally be resolved pretty quickly. But this, of course, does contradict what other people have said about their relationship. So who really knows? So before they even moved into their house in Moorcroft, they actually lived with Chance's friend DJ for a little while. And DJ has said that Bailey and him would get in a lot of fights, and that she often would accuse him of things he didn't do. And also sometimes she would blow things out of proportion. But again, you know, who really knows? It's hard to judge someone else's relationship, right? But their relationship was rough enough that Dawn actually offered to put them through relationship counseling. She even told Bailey once that if she was so upset with Chance, maybe she should just leave him. She says that there were times where Bailey would just call her up and just be screaming about how frustrated she was with Chance or complaining about something he did. And, she really pushed them to go to counseling, but they didn't. Now, of course, all I have to go off of are Bailey's previous interviews. Like I said, she has stopped doing interviews at this point, and I find it really difficult to get a full picture of someone's relationship without being able to interview them as well or have more interviews out there. So, just keep that in mind. But Dawn told me that she was very concerned about their relationship and how often they were fighting, how bad things had become. So she, especially in July of 2019, really pushed them to try to sort things out. But Chance really seemed to be kind of tired of her help. He'd also been going through a really tough time that summer because he and 600 others had been recently laid off. And his friend Matt was also one of those people who lost their job. So Chance and Matt were both looking for new jobs around this time. And Banks was very young at that point. So he knew he had to find something quick. He was a new dad, and he knew that he needed to find something, even if it meant not making as much money as he, was before. He just had to get something. So both Chance and Matt ended up finding new jobs in the propane industry. Their start date was Monday, July 8th, 2019, and both of them were very eager to start this new opportunity. The job wasn't starting until after 4th of July, which meant he and Matt had 4th of July free, and they were very excited about that. And their original plan was to go hunting and fishing at Chance's family ranch. However, Chance ended up getting in a fight with his mom that week. It was at this point that he told her that she needed to lay off. She needed to stop meddling in his relationship. He felt like he just couldn't handle her constant feedback. And so when they had this argument, he actually told Dawn he wanted a week off from even speaking to her. This was especially hard for her because she loves her son, and the two of them spoke normally every day, but she said she respected his boundaries no matter how difficult it was.
Everybody wants to know what the fight was about with Chance and I. We had two young girls in our lives, and things had been said that I was talking about one behind the other one's back, and I was always so careful on that. I didn't do things like that. If anything I said about Bailey that weekend, I would have said to Bailey herself, and most likely already had. Bailey always accused Chance of cheating on her. There was always a talk of that. Not sure when he would have had time to cheat on her, honestly, especially after they found out they were expecting, because he worked overtime all the time. Anytime that kid could get overtime, he was working. He never came to the ranch by himself. He never did anything without Bailey. So I don't really know when there was a whole lot of time. And he told me that night, I have never cheated on my wife. So I believe from October on, he was very faithful to her. I don't know what happened between them meeting and marrying. I'm not going to sugarcoat anything. I don't know what he would do.
She knows something.
So that all just escalated. And one of the last things Chance had said to me is, give me the week to work on my marriage and stay out of it. And I said, anything you need, I'm here for you. The hardest, longest week of my life. And it wasn't anything that other families haven't gone through. We honestly didn't fight much. Our family just didn't. We'd go to bed and wake up and laugh at things. We just didn't fight. So this was very hard on our whole family.
So obviously, because they weren't speaking and Chance wanted a break, Bailey and him decided not to go to their ranch that weekend. The Englebert family ranch is in South Dakota. And instead, just he and Bailey, so not Matt, were going to take Banks to Gearing, Nebraska to visit Bailey's. I guess Matt was able to make other plans. There were no hard feelings, and they went separate ways for the holiday. So the drive from Moorcroft to Gearing is just about 4 hours, and the three of them drove out to Bailey's grandparents' house where they were invited to stay for the weekend. So on the morning of Saturday, July 6th, Chance talks to a few members of his family, including his father, and he talks to them about how he's so excited to start his job on that upcoming Monday. And on this call, his dad tells him that he has a package waiting for him at their house in South Dakota. So Chance says that he's going to come by the next day, July 7th, and pick it up. Then later that afternoon, Chance goes golfing with his father-in-law and his brother-in-law. And then later that day, he and Bailey had plans to go meet some friends of hers for dinner. Bailey said that she spoke to Chance on the phone that day while he was out, and she said he was in a great mood. And she said because he was in such a good mood and because it was a nice day, she decided to bring her son Banks out to the golf course to see his father and to see her dad and her brother. But by the time that she arrived, Chance's mood had changed drastically. She stated that the first thing that he said to her when she got there was, "Get the fuck back in the car, we're leaving." Now, it seems his anger was related to a comment made by either Bailey's father or Bailey's brother about him making less money at his new job. The exact wording isn't known, but that is according to Bailey from previous interviews. She also said that this was something that Chance took the wrong way. Personally, I can see how he took it the wrong way. That would be very hurtful. So I guess when they all got back in the car, he told Bailey that he wanted to go back home right away. He didn't want to stay at her grandparents anymore. But Bailey tried to convince him to stay. She drove him back to her grandparents' house, but she said that he had consumed alcohol at the golf course, and it made it difficult to reason with him. And she said when she pulled in the driveway of her grandparents' house, he said he wanted to go home, not back to her grandparents' house. He wanted to go back to Wyoming. He didn't want to spend any more time with her family, so she said she was going to go into the house and pack up their bags. So they pull up to her grandparents' house in the driveway around 7 p.m. And she says that instead of going inside to pack, Chance starts to walk off. And she says she grabs Banks out of the car seat, runs inside, gives him to her grandmother, and then as soon as she comes back out, Chance is already gone. She said at first she wasn't too concerned. She said it was very typical of him to take a walk and kind of, blow off steam, think about things. But, and again, this is all according to Bailey from the Vanished podcast. She said she then hops in her car and starts looking for him. She wanted to know where he was. So she says she drives around looking for him. She made several attempts to call him and he didn't answer. So eventually there was a big storm coming in and she decides to go back home. Now, this is key. It has been reported that Bailey said that she spoke to Chance on the phone around 7:45 p.m., but that he hung up on her and she was unable to reach him after that point. And in this call, Chance supposedly told her that he was walking south towards Kimball. And she also said that based on their past fights, she figured he would just come home eventually. And she also noted that they did not fight in the car. She said his anger was purely directed at whatever family member made this comment to him. And again, it's not clear who exactly made the comment. So we do know that Chance did make a phone call at 7:23 p.m. And this was not to Bailey, but to his friend Matt. And when he talked to him, he explained that he was very upset. He explained the comment that Bailey's family member made to him and why it hurt his feelings. And he said he wanted him to come pick him up. He wanted him to come pick him all the way up in Gearing and drive him back to Wyoming. So as we know, that's like 4 hours. And Matt is celebrating 4th of July. He has friends over and he'd also been drinking. So he told Chance that he wasn't able to pick him up, but he would make some calls and see if there was anyone else who could. And in this call, Chance also mentioned that he was walking northwest towards Torrington, which is a town right across from the Nebraska-Wyoming border. Now, the exact reason why Chance was trying to walk this far is unknown, but it's probably because he wanted to get to Wyoming as fast as possible. And it's also the complete opposite direction that he told Bailey he was going. I mean, remember, he told her he was headed south, and he told Matt that he was headed northwest. So Matt has noted that Chance did not seem drunk when the two of them spoke. And he also said he was very vague when referencing whatever fight he had gotten into. And as soon as the two of them got off the phone, he actually called up Chance's family, hoping that someone over there could go and pick him up. Whether they went from Edgemont to Gearing or Edgemont to Torrington, Matt thought they were likely the closest people to him. So the call from Matt comes into Dawn around 7:45. Matt explains that Chance was very upset because of a comment that was made about his income and his new job, and that he's hoping one of them can come and pick him up.
Saturday night, about 7:30. Everett and I were just sitting in the house watching TV, and I got a call from Matt, and he said, "Hey, Mama Dawn, we've got some trouble." He's like, "Well, Chance just called, and he had a fight with the in-laws, and he wants out of Nebraska, and he needs a ride home to Wyoming." I told him that we probably couldn't get down to get him, but that I would find a ride for him. So what do you think? And I said, "Well, Matt, I'm thinking after our discussion and fight last week that I am the last one he's going to want calling him to hear about a fight with Bailey and her family." So,
hey, it's Vaughn from the Gospel University. Listen, are you
That's what I feel like she would say.
in a basic way?
Right.
But
I still would have called him anyways, though.
And his Aunt Katie
I would
to
have,
call and check in with
absolutely.
him, see what we can do. Let's just stay in touch. And he said, "Sounds great." I started calling John and Katie. Everett called Larry, another coworker and good friend of Chance's that lived right across the street from Bailey. And Larry's like, "Gosh, no, I haven't heard from him. Let me call Bailey and see what's going on." Larry called Everett back and said, "I just told Bailey that she had to call and talk to you guys about this." So a few minutes later, Bailey called and told Everett that it's not that big of a deal. It was just a misunderstanding on something that Kyler said out at the golf course, and that not to worry, they were all out looking for him and that they would find him and they would stay in touch. So we called Matt back and said, he won't answer any of us. He wouldn't answer his dad. He wouldn't answer his Uncle John or his Aunt Katie. And Matt said, "Yeah, he won't answer us either. We keep trying."
So this is when Dawn gets nervous and she decides to break their kind of no contact agreement for the week and just let him know that she wouldn't ask any questions, but if he needed a ride or a motel room, that he could ask her. So it was sometime between 8 and 8:30 that Chance's parents finally spoke with Bailey.
So we talked to Bailey and Matt a couple times through the night. Around 9-ish, she had called and said there was a bad storm, that they had to take some time off looking for him, but they'd go back out after the storm. And so we just kind of sat back and waited and really thought that they'd find him.
But the next morning, when Chance was still gone, panic really started to set in for all of them. What became especially concerning was a text message that came through from Chance's phone to his Aunt Katie at 9:08 p.m.
I called him first and asked him, "Hey, buddy, I just had a couple questions for you. Would you mind giving me a call?" I didn't want him to think that we were all worried about him or checking up on him or that he wasn't handling something correctly. After he didn't answer and I texted him, "Hey, tried calling you, have a question. Would you call me back?" I didn't get a response until 9:08, and I got an "I'm" and an emoji face with the straight line mouth, and then some gibberish after that. And I responded with, "You are what? Are you okay?" And I got nothing after that. It's not something normal for him just to walk away. Something that had to have happened for this to all be that way.
And it became clear to the Englebert sometime after 11 a.m. that Chance was considered a missing person. So that morning, Bailey ends up filing a missing persons report with the Gearing Police Department around 11 a.m. That morning, Bailey said she had first tried to call Verizon to see if they could help her place the last phone call that he had made. And of course, they weren't able to help her at that point. That's private information. So she contacts the police. So it actually took some convincing for the police to take this case seriously at first. According to Bailey, her and her family had to make several calls to the police before they would actually really consider him a missing person and form a search party. But eventually they did do a massive search. It took a few days to mobilize, but it included 17 law enforcement agencies, drones, divers, cadaver dogs, and volunteers on foot, horseback, and ATVs. Bailey posted on her Facebook page on July 7th that Chance had not come home and that he was missing. And this was actually when a lot of his friends found out as well, including his friend DJ. That day, Dawn also called every police station from their hometown leading up to Torrington. And when she got a hold of Torrington PD, they said they'd already been in contact with Bailey's father and were aware of the situation. So Dawn called anyone she could think of who may know Chance and could possibly have heard from him. She also spoke with Bailey on the phone for a few times, and they offered her to come down and stay at their place in Gearing so that they could be close to the situation. However, she turned them down because she felt like she should be back at home just in case Chance showed up there. And then she had Matt stay up in Moorcroft in case Chance showed up there. So when Chance didn't show up to Matt's house by afternoon, he decided he was going to drive up to Gearing and look for him. But of course, he had that new job starting the next day, so he could only spend, a few days looking for him.
We wanted to go down right away, but we didn't because Dawn had asked me to stay and go to work at Blakeman's the first day we were supposed to be back to see if Chance showed up there. That was just the kind of guy he was. He wouldn't miss a day of work unless something was terribly wrong. So I went to work at Blakeman's till noon, and then I left, gathered up everybody we could, and we drove down there to start looking for him. When we were down there, it was kind of hectic. Law enforcement was looking for him. We kind of just went to where they said his last phone location was and started out from there. We walked 2 miles of that river. We stayed down there for 4 days. Just looked in every nook and cranny trying to find him. We concentrated on the river. After the 4th day, finances forced us to return, go back to work.
So the Engleberts finally decided to drive to Gearing on Monday morning. And Monday was the day where it felt like the search effort really kind of picked up. 2,400 acres were covered during the initial search, and the Engleberts drove around the Gearing Scottsbluff area for hours, searching for any sign of Chance, but they found nothing. But the searches weren't being organized around these areas for no reason. There's actually video surveillance footage recorded of Chance at 7:51 p.m. walking northbound at the intersection of Martha Road and 10th Street that evening. And this footage shows Chance as he comes up to a stop, looks down at his phone, makes a sharp 90-degree left turn, almost as if he's following directions. And his movements go with the direction that he told Matt he was going, northwest towards Torrington.
Seeing those videos was an eye-opener to us. The first thing Miles said is, he's not mad in this. He might be upset, but he's definitely not mad. And I said, and he's not drunk. They all wanted us to think that he was like falling down drunk, stupid. And maybe he was at the golf course when the fight started. But by the time he was on Martha Street and 10th Street at 7:50, I don't feel he was drunk. He looked like a normal kid walking down the street, and he had a plan and he knew where he was going. And I know there's been a lot of talk when he stops and looks at his phone and kind of pivots. And I really think he was busy on his phone. I think he was texting with Bailey, honestly. And he just kind of looked up to realize, I wanted to go this way. I don't think there's any other things to it. I honestly don't believe he had a map out. I know a lot of people think that he was probably reading a map to know how to get where he wanted to go. And although we're not very familiar with Scottsbluff, and he'd only been there 10, 15 times, we rodeoed a lot in Torrington. We traveled that area a lot, and he knew how to get to Torrington. That wouldn't have been an issue. He wouldn't have been looking for a shortcut. I just feel that showed shouldn't have been any problems with Chance getting somewhere Saturday night. I think it's a great proof. For those that know Chance and watch the video, we all have said the same thing.
Martha Road is in a small town called Terrytown, which is about 2 miles from Gearing. So that means that he had walked a distance of about 30 minutes or so since he had left the driveway. So that surveillance footage actually captures Chance shortly after he had spoken to Matt. And it's right around the time that his family is, sending texts to him, calling him, trying to get a hold of him. And Bailey also said that she was looking for him around this time, but was not successful at actually locating him. And then they actually uncovered more surveillance footage that is from a Ring camera. Now, this footage is a lot less clear, but authorities do say that they're certain it's Chance, and he's seen walking west on Stable Club Road. One other thing that I've mentioned a few times in this video but haven't really explained is the big storm that came in that night. This was a major factor in his disappearance. There was a massive storm that rolled through their town that night. It began sometime around 9 p.m. and lasted approximately 45 minutes, and there was about an inch of rainfall. And the North Platte River, which runs right through Terrytown, rose 8 inches. That's quite a bit of rain. And there was also a lot of thunder, lightning, and high-speed winds. And the police were able to get location data from Chance's phone. And that reportedly last pinged off a cell phone tower near a truck stop gas station called the Western Travel Terminal. And that was about 10 p.m. The investigators have noted that this data is rather unspecific, and the ping could span an area of about a few miles long. But what's interesting about the location of that ping is that it's only 4-ish miles away from Bailey's grandparents' house. And the time it pinged was around 10 p.m., which would mean that Chance only traveled about 3 to 4 miles in the 3 or so hours that he had been gone. So all of these factors are contributing to this search and what they do know. They know about the storm, they know about the surveillance footage, and then the cell phone tower ping. But when they couldn't find any more information right away, they felt a little hopeless, especially Bailey. She actually supposedly, again, this is alleged, but Bailey, according to Dawn, said that she felt like Chance was going to be coming home in a body bag. And she says this was only 2 days after he had first disappeared. And on that Tuesday, Bailey was asking the Gearing police for a death certificate, which is pretty quick. Now, this death certificate has caused a good deal of drama in this case, as you can imagine. Many people, including the investigators, have found this to be a red flag. I mean, Chance was still considered a missing person. This is only a few days into his disappearance. He was never at any point by the police considered to be a homicide victim. So why would she be asking for his death certificate? That's weird. So investigators asked her about this, and Bailey said that she was concerned for her future. She had a son to provide for and didn't have a job. So the death certificate would allow her to collect on his life insurance policy, making it possible for her to get by until she was able to get a job. Now, of course, there is still a lot of concern about this, a lot of public speculation. And investigators have said that Bailey and her family have been completely cooperative with them throughout this entire process.
I've spoken with Bailey several times, formal interviews, phone calls with follow-up questions, occasionally a text message for a follow-up just based on a tip that comes in. She's always been very cooperative with me, very cordial. Interviewed her at length. My first interview with her was probably a couple hours long, so she's always been very cooperative with me.
Also, of course, we've got to remember Bailey was very young at the time. She was only 20, and grief, of course, looks different on everyone. So we got.
So what's really interesting, ladies and gentlemen, is that during this process, after she asked for the death certificate, a cell phone shows up at home on her doorstep.
Really?
Yeah, they don't know whose cell phone it was. So, so Matt was notified that there's a cell phone at the wife's house to go by and check it out. Well, he goes over and there's no cell phone. So he calls the wife and he's like, well, there was a cell phone here on the steps. What happened? Oh, I had a neighbor go get it. And the cell phone mysteriously disappears. So does that make any sense? So nobody knows. Now they allegedly say it was a homeless person's cell phone. It was the town's drunk cell phone that he left on their front porch or the side step. Yes. So.
But do they, if they can't produce it, then how do they?
Doesn't make any sense, does it?
I mean, it's a possible thing that could have happened. I don't think it's impossible, but I felt like what she said, like the lady wolf. Not sure why, but I kept feeling like, yeah, I felt like that too. Either that or he just decided he didn't have a will to live anymore. And then whatever happened. Maybe the storm took him. Maybe something else happened because he just didn't really care anymore. But they said he was very positive all the time. And that whatever that family said to him must have really been very harmful.
But nobody will say.
They should
Rosie.
say. They should have to say.
But nobody will say. Even the wife won't say.
That doesn't make any sense.
His mom knows beyond a reasonable doubt something happened between their relationship, whether there must have been some hanky-panky going on somewhere, because she said up until yes, he was faithful. He was faithful up until. So that tells me that there probably, maybe, allegedly, something else could have happened. I don't know because I wasn't there.
But it could
I
have
don't
been
have a
even
crystal
like he
ball.
was just messaging somebody, you know what I mean, or something like that.
Well, still, I'm being faithful. That's right, crazy witch. That's still cheating.
What if it was his phone and she unlocked it and saw that he had been with someone else, and that's why she kept the phone and asked for the death certificate?
I know, right?
I don't know. That's just popping off the top of my mind, you know.
All right. We're going to forward this on to the psychics. Case number 2 before you have to go. Let's
Yeah.
talk about it.
Okay, I only got a few minutes though, because my child will have no supervision and he might burn the house down.
Oh Lord, don't talk about that.
Yeah.
We don't need you on the show.
So case number 2, you said? Go ahead.
Yes.
And talk about it. Okay.
Yeah.
So
you sent me the information, right?
Yes.
Let me pull it up. Now, ladies and gentlemen, I'm going to let her talk about this while I am pulling up what she sent me, because this is far out stuff. So take it away. And I'm pulling everything up right now. Did I hang up on you? Oh, you're still
No,
there.
I'm still
Okay.
here. Somebody's talking to me and I'm trying to explain to them. Hang on just a
Okay.
second.
You got real quiet because I'm not paying attention. I'm
No, I
not.
muted
I'm on
it.
another screen.
Yeah. Okay,
Okay.
so if you want to pull it up, I don't remember the exact date that it happened, but the night before that it happened, a bolo went out, and I live not far from where this happened. So a bolo went out, so I get this bolo alert on my phone, emergency alert. 2 young girls, I think they're 14 and 16. I'm trying to remember their names. I know that sounds terrible.
Which link should I click on?
They're both going to be probably the oldest one, probably the first one that I sent, because it's going to have the beginning of what actually happened, and the other one's going to be updated with some actually, like it's not going to explain. The second one might not explain as much about the beginning of what happened. So I'd start with the first one. But the bolo came on my phone, and it said that these 2 young girls, it showed a picture of them, and then this man who had been picked them up from, I think, a water park, and he was driving a white Avalanche. They were supposed to be staying the night at his house for a slumber party. I'm not sure why the bolo came out. I didn't even actually hear why the bolo even came out. And you know what a bolo is because you've worked in that field. Be on the lookout.
Be on the lookout, ladies and
for these
that
2
is correct.
women. Keep your eyes peeled in this area, McAllister, Oklahoma, Henrietta, Oklahoma area. And I actually used to spend a lot of summers in McAllister, Oklahoma with my grandma, and I used to go to Henrietta every year and meet up with my aunt and my cousins to spend the summer with them every summer, basically. So I'm very familiar with both these areas, and there's actually a very high security prison, I'm pretty sure, that's in McAllister, Oklahoma. So the bolo going out was 2 of the young girls that were staying the night with this guy, not with him, but with his daughter for a slumber party. His daughter by marriage. It was his stepdaughter. Her mom was there. His daughters were there. And his son was there. They had been working on the ranch that he had in McAllister. Supposedly he had a ranch. I think it was somewhere that they were going to, that's a speculation, so I'm not even going to say it because I don't have any proof. That was just what I think. So I'm going to leave thoughts out and speculations out so everybody can gather just from what's actually out there. So from legit stuff, but he had a ranch in McAllister that they were supposed to be working at. One of the girls messaged her mom while they were gone and supposed to be having a slumber party that they were going to go to his ranch in McAllister and work for the day. And then after that, they'd be staying the night back at the house in Henrietta, Oklahoma. So that being said, the house that he lived at in Henrietta, Oklahoma was with his wife, her 3 children, and then these 2 girls were staying the night that were 14 and 16. The bolo was the 2 girls that were 14 and 16, and him and his vehicle saying, hey, be on the lookout for these. Well, I called my mom. As soon as I got that, I called my mom, and I said, did you get this bolo? And she said, yes. And I said, this is weird. And I said, but I don't think those girls are alive. I think they're dead. And she said, no, don't say that. She's like, that's not good. She's like, be positive about it. because sometimes these people show up and they're still alive, and they find them pretty quickly and they're still alive. And I said, no, I feel like this guy's a pedophile and he's a rapist and he's a sick blankety blank blank blank, and he killed them. And I said, I just feel this. I'm telling you because I want to see what happens. And I was telling her so I would have told somebody so that later I could come back and say, I told you this would happen, because she always second guesses and says, don't talk about that stuff, or don't act like, you know, you have these abilities because people think it's crazy. And I'm like, no, there's really actually a community of people that believe in this stuff, that believe that you can have these premonitions and these, you know, like visions and stuff. So like before I knew anything, because it wasn't until the next day, the night the bolo came out, I said that. Called my mom as soon as I got it, and I told her they're dead, and this guy's a pedophile and a rapist, and he is disgusting. So that being said, that was on the weekend. They were staying the night or staying the weekend there, and Monday he was supposed to have a court date for a kiddie porn, like a child pornography case. He had been in prison already for 15 years prior to the date of this bolo for sexually assaulting very violently a female when she was a teenager and he was much younger. So he had gotten out of prison after 15 years on early on good conduct. He had still 5 years, I believe, of his sentence left, and he didn't have to serve it because of the good behavior. While he was in prison, he was actually sexting a teenage girl. I didn't even think it because of the water park. I just thought it because when I looked at his face, I just knew he was. I don't know if there's like, you know, like that makes sense or not, but I just looked at his face and I just like this, just like ding, like this knowing came over me that I just knew that he was one. I didn't even know he had a court date yet. I didn't know he had prior charges or anything until after they found the bodies. I knew none of that stuff until they found the bodies. And then I called my mom back and I said, did you see this on the news? Did you see what they said? Is that not funny? Because I told you that. And she said, yeah, it's kind of weird. Yeah, it's weird. So if you want to play that, I only have a couple more minutes.
Yes, I'll play it right now. Here we go, ladies and gentlemen. Stand by.
Approximately at 1500 hours, we arrived out here with a search warrant. We've searched the property and we've located 7 bodies that we are in the process of trying to get the ME to be able to confirm identities of these individuals that were found. We're not going to discuss any of the facts of the case or anything like that, but we are no longer looking. We believe to have found everything that we were seeking this morning.
So they came to his house on Monday because he did not show up in court for the child pornography charges that morning when he was supposed to be there. So I'm pretty sure this was Monday when he didn't show up. Monday, they came to the property, and this was the situation at that time. And that was all that they said that day.
Okay. Now you ready for number 2?
Sure. I don't know how long it is, but go ahead.
All right, here we go. Let me go back to Facebook. I don't know why I closed it out, but I do apologize, ladies and gentlemen. We'll get that fixed right now. All right, and let's see, number 2, that was this one. And let me pause it. Skip the ads. All right, pause, and share in audio. And here we go, action.
investigation into the massacre in Henrietta earlier this week. Thanks for joining us. The Oklahoma State Bureau of Investigation has taken over the investigation and is right now at the property where the 6 people were killed. They say the murderer is a convicted rapist who killed himself after the murders. 2 News Oklahoman's Samson Tamajani joins us live from the scene. Samson, what are the agents telling you?
Shay, since we got on scene this afternoon, we've witnessed several OSBI investigators throughout the front yard and at the house of Jesse McFadden. Only one agent left the scene earlier tonight, but they have since come back. As you can see behind me, we now have the front yard lit with the light from the OSBI Mobile Analysis Center bus as work for them continues into the night. Now, during the daytime, we saw several family members of the victims and 2 people we didn't recognize talking with OSBI members as they collected items from a silver Toyota Yaris. OSBI was also seen taking photos of other vehicles in the yard, like this U-Haul and the trailers over to our left. Investigators have also been entering and exiting the home. And just to put this all into context, 2 News anchor Aaron Christie reported the last couple of days that this house where Jason McFadden lived was seemingly completely left alone by Okmulgee County Sheriff deputies with literal loads of potential evidence still inside. That includes numerous cell phones, sex paraphernalia, chains, handcuffs, drug paraphernalia, computers, all of which McFadden kept inside the house. Family members say they were told by the property owner here to get whatever they thought was important out of the house by Sunday, or it would be tossed into a dumpster. The Okmulgee County DA office didn't explain any of this and only said Friday that they were, quote, investigating. Now, less than 24 hours after we aired that story, as Shay mentioned, OSBI confirms that it has taken over this investigation, that the investigation is currently ongoing as of today. I spoke to an OSBI spokesperson earlier today and asked him several questions, including if the crime scene had now been contaminated since so many people have been through the house and since so much of the evidence has been potentially taken out and before many of it could be collected inside. I also asked if those items removed by family members would have to be returned and if the investigation itself they consider is mishandled. But spokesperson said that the agency cannot answer any of those questions at this time. Also this evening, I spoke with several neighbors and family members who were just passing by looking on just as we were. They told us that they are furious. They told us that they want answers from local and state authorities as to what might have been missed before and after these shootings even occurred. We'll, of course, be keeping you posted and with all the updates that we hear on air, online, and on our 2 News app. For now, live in Okmulgee County tonight, Samson Tamajani, 2 News, Oklahoma.
Thank you, Samson. Before OSBI showed up today in Okmulgee County, the community there gathered to celebrate the life of one of the victims, 14-year-old Ivy Webster. At least 300 people packed the back lot of the property owned by the Webster family for a memorial service.
So, ladies and gentlemen, let me explain something to you.
Weird faces just because I've seen the dad's interview of that girl they're talking about, and it's so sad.
So, a crime happened. Murders took place. The parents of the murdered victims wanted their possessions of the kids. So the person that rented the house out said, come get their crap or it's going to be thrown in the dumpster.
Yep.
So they went to the house and they found dope. They found, what did they found, Rosie?
They found needles, different kinds of drug paraphernalia, sex toys, and there are actually videos of them. They recorded themselves, the parents did, and they have gone viral with the videos. If you want to look them up, it's up to you. If you want to see that kind of nature, if you're not into that kind of stuff and you don't want to see it, I've heard people say that they didn't want to see it, but they found drug paraphernalia, needles. They did find the phones, I think, of one of the girls' phones, and then they found like a backpack or something that belonged to one of the girls, the daughters, not the ones that were his daughters, but the other ones. They found lots of different chains, bolts, and locks throughout the house. I'm pretty sure, like on an island that was in the kitchen, there was actually a bolted chain coming off, and it was padlocked, or it was locked with a lock. Don't know why that would happen. I have no clue why you would have that on the middle of your kitchen. That doesn't make any sense unless you're a depraved, sadistic, sadomasochistic, sick individual that does that to your family or your wife or somebody else that you're keeping there against their will that might not even be in the family. I don't know. It's just my speculation. That is my opinion. That is not what, I'm not saying that's what happened because I don't know, but that's just my first thoughts. But my first thoughts about the guy and the kids that I saw on the bolo was correct. So I'm just going to go with that.
And how many approximately cell phones did they find?
32. There were 32 cell phones found on the property, which does not make any sense no matter what. There's no way that that family owned 32 cell phones.
And how many computers?
And 3 or 4 or 5 computers, with some of them were laptops, because there was like a gaming room where there were multiple monitors in a gaming chair. And in that room, there was some kind of, the door, there was like a lock from the outside so that you could actually like lock somebody in there in the gaming room. Like a lock had been installed on it where you could lock them in, they couldn't get out. Then also there were in the parents' bedroom, the husband and wife that are both no longer with us. Down above the bed, there was like a marble strip where there were all these chains coming out that had things on the ends of them attached to them, like, you know, to like bind somebody to where they can't get up. And they were in marble, so they weren't like in like a piece of like plywood where you can just rip it off and you can escape. They were in marble. I don't know what kind of house, you know, like walling and whatever there was. There were, like I said, sex toys, different things of that nature. Behind one of the dressers, they found another long strip, a big piece of like wood that had those chains and padlocks on it also. There was a baseboard there underneath that dresser that they lifted up and found a infant's bloody clothing that was not dried. It hadn't been dried, so it had not been there that long, according to what people think, like that it was still not dried. The infant's clothing was still kind of, you know, like wet, coagulating, whatever you want to call it. Like
that is
like
correct.
That. It wasn't dried to where like you're going to find somebody months later and there's going to be dried, crusty blood. You know what I mean? They had found a young girl's underwear and shorts in the closet. One of the closets, I think it must have been the parents' room, because the daughter's room, it said, was a perfect teenager's bedroom. There was nothing weird in it whatsoever, nothing strange, nothing off at all. So the underwear had blood in them and some other substance, like another kind of fluid in them that they weren't sure what it was. And I'm sure that'll get sent off and that'll get tested by some lab, you know, somewhere. So that, as far as I know, is the most that I know. I do think that when the parents went in to the place to collect their kids' items, they tried their hardest to not touch anything. You can hear them talking in the videos, and they may have even had gloves on so that they weren't going to contaminate the scene, because their first thoughts were, this is still a crime scene and we're not going to stop fighting for it to be investigated to find out what happened to our kids. And you can see the dad arguing and yelling at and crying with one of the investigators that must have came back to the scene, and he is saying, my daughter died here and I demand answers because I want to know what happened to her and why. And he said, I will not stop until I know why. And that's the 14-year-old girl, Ivy's dad, I believe. Also, there's a lot more stuff that I could add. It's going to take me a minute. Gosh. While they were interviewing everybody that was around, there was a stepdad, like her previous husband, they had called him, and that was one of the girls' father. One of the stepkids' father. Like the wife, it was her kid's father. And one of those kids was his daughter, and he was very upset about the fact that happened to his daughter. He did not know that Jesse McFadden was a pedophile and a registered sex offender. He didn't know any of that stuff. He had no clue about any of that stuff. He didn't know anything like that was in the house. And the wife didn't tell him that information. The ex-wife, his ex-wife. But when she got with Jesse, he had told her, he had hired a actress or somebody to call his wife and tell her that that was all a misunderstanding, that it was false accusations and false rape charges, that she was the victim, this person he hired to call his wife. She was the victim and it was all a misunderstanding. So, naive is all that I think that I can say, is that the mom was naive and not very smart. With the stuff that's laying in the house, it makes no sense that she would allow her children to be in a home with all of that stuff laying out in the open. It's one thing if you do things, you know, and you have adult time when your kids aren't around or when they're asleep, but it's another thing when that stuff's laying everywhere, all over the house.
And what about the pictures?
And drug paraphernalia. And they also found a really thick stack of nude children's photos, or nude in nature is what they said. Nude in nature children's photos. So I don't know if they're in the underwear. Some of them were nude, some of them weren't nude, some of them were in the underwear. Those kind of photos were there. And then they found a folder that had a lot of stuff in it of all of his charges and everything. I think they said, like all of his legal documentation of all of the charges that he had and stuff like that. And like I was saying, he was supposed to go to court that Monday, and he texted the girl that he was going to be testifying against in court, or defending himself against in court, and told her that he was not going to go back to prison. He said, I told you I wasn't going to go back. This is not verbatim, but he was like, I told you I'm not going to go back ever again. I'm not going back to prison. I promised you that I would get out of here and I would have a good life with you, and we would have a good life together. And I can't believe that you're still doing this and still going forward with this, because I have gotten out and I have bettered myself and gotten a good job and I've stayed straight and I have done what I said I was going to do. And I'm not going back to court. So this is all on you. That was the night before he did it. He sent her those text messages. And then the next day was Monday. He was supposed to be in court, didn't show up, and they came out. And that was the first video that he showed, where they were going to identify any information at the time. And they didn't really know much at the time. They had to have a medical examiner come in and examine and identify the bodies. So
this is not everything, ladies and gentlemen. This is she has not even told you everything she's told me.
We'll have to continue the rest of it next week, because I think that I actually already saw while we were on here an update that if it's the correct town in Oklahoma, it might be a different town from what it said. But if it's the correct town in Oklahoma, then you're going to have your jaw dropped next week if we show this update and development. If it's
we are going to stay on this case, ladies and gentlemen, because can you imagine the police not processing a crime scene, and the person owning the home that's renting it out? Now this takes another twist. I'm not going to tell you about it till next week. I'm going to let her explain it. But it takes another twist. Come on over, ladies and gentlemen. Grab the stuff down, because if not, it's going in the trash.
Yeah.
And can you imagine showing up and seeing all these bondage and chains and paraphernalia and dope and toys and
needles,
cell phones and pictures and
the cell phone? I think it was hidden in the cabinet with the drugs, which is weird. The one that belonged to the girl, one of the girls, was hidden in a cabinet. It was next to all those drugs. So.
But yes, ladies and gentlemen, stand by for next week. We'll have the psychic panel board to come back, and we'll talk about the Englewood case. But thank you for tuning in, and I'm glad we have a new co-host, Rosie. Thank you. Hope you have a good evening, ladies and gentlemen, and we'll tune in till next week. And yes, Lady Wolf, it's gonna get very deep. Yeah. So y'all have a good night and take care. Thanks, Rosie. Have a good one, ladies and gentlemen. Bye.
Blessed be our new founding fathers and America.
It's a grizzly.
Should we get out of here?
No. We're gonna watch and listen.
Action.
It's a grizzly.
Oh, shit, should we run?
No.
Action.
It's a grizzly.
Oh, should we run?
Okay. It's a grizzly.
Are you sure it's not a chipmunk? Action. No, I'm out of here. Action.
It's a grizzly.
I'm out of here.
Huh. Maybe it is a chipmunk. It's a grizzly.
Are we gonna die?
I don't know. We're just gonna sit here and listen and watch.
Let's get out of here, maybe.
Fall!